Football star with Shaq's power, from reject to unstoppable legend. Please like, share, and subscribe. Episode 41, Tying the Golden Boot. New contract. Luo Ye received a call from Mendes while receiving Lin Shui's needle insertion service. Bayern made a huge concession and offered $5 million? Luo Ye was obviously surprised, but he quickly laughed. Who doesn't like money in this world? At least Luo Ye likes it very much. Moreover, he is a professional player, and playing football is his job. If his work performance is good, it is normal for him to ask for a salary increase. So as for the poll between Mendes and Bayern, Luo Ye will wait and see what happens. Even if the negotiations with Bayern fail in the end, it won't be a big deal. There are many teams in this world that are willing to pay themselves high salaries. What played a decisive role was the game against Bayern. In addition to 3 goals and a buzzer beater, you also showed your long-range shooting ability. I think a center who is equally good at heading the ball and long-range shooting, Bayern fired. It's impossible not to be tempted if you don't get it, and I estimate that many teams are already ready to make a move. Just wait and see. As the winter window approaches, Bayern will have to make concessions. Concession? Do you mean to insist on an annual salary of 6 million euros? Of course. Why not, Luo? You are worth the price. You are now the top scorer in the Bundesliga, with 12 league goals in 7 league games. Don't think that an annual salary of 6 million euros is too much for the top scorer in the Bundesliga. Expensive. In fact, Bayern took a big advantage. Mendes was doing psychological training for Luo Ye on the other end of the phone. He and his staff are all experienced negotiators. But if Bayern chooses to open a breakthrough from Luo Ye, he will be difficult to guard against. By the way, what do you think about the length of the contract? I hope the contract period will not be too long, and if possible, I also hope to include a liquidated damages clause. Luo Ye has considered this aspect. Honestly, Bayern Munich is a good platform and very competitive in Europe. But the competitiveness of the Bundesliga is slightly weaker. If possible, Luo Ye still hopes to try his luck in other leagues. For example, the Premier League. Let's take a step back. Even if he wants to stay at Bayern in the future, taking too long to sign a contract would also be detrimental to him. Because he was easily manipulated by Bayern. Hoeneß has seen how many times he dunked on him. Luo Ye estimated. It's difficult to make big money if you stay at Bayern. Simply sign for less time and add a liquidated damages clause. At that time, it will not be Bayern who has to take advantage of himself, but he will have to take advantage of Bayern. Of course, sometimes players will hope to sign a long-term contract because the future is uncertain. As long as they have a long-term contract, even if they are injured, their condition declines, or various unexpected situations occur, the salary of the contract amount at least it's accessible. But Luo Ye is different. He is full of confidence in his future. And he wasn't too worried about getting hurt. In this case, he naturally chose a more aggressive contract strategy. I get it, they'll agree. Mendes grinned. What? 3 years? A liquidated damages clause? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. What a joke. We are Bayern Munich. When Hoeneß heard the conditions offered by Mendes, he was so angry that his head was about to smoke. 3-year contract? How can this be? Luo Ye is only 18 years old, not 38. Sign a 3-year contract, and he will be 21 after 3 years. Can he tell the length of such a contract? For young people like Luo Ye, 4 years are guaranteed and 5 years are normal. And liquidated damages will also be added. Bayern is the top club in Europe. Their players generally do not have liquidated damages clauses. They are not a club that survives by buying and selling players. Ever since, the two sides fell into a stalemate again. What to do now? Luo Ye's solution is very simple and direct. But very effective. That's a goal. Keep scoring goals. On October 3rd, in the second round of the Europa League group stage, the team challenged the Greek team Aris away from home. Luo Ye scored another hat-trick. The hat-tricks in 2 consecutive games gave Luo Ye the template of a top player, the man who lives on the offside line, Inzaghi's striker's olfactory template. The shooter's sense of smell is related to anticipation and anti-offside skills. As a result, Luo Ye gained a stronger ability to hit the goal and grab points. After this game, half a month of national team matches made Bayern slightly less stressed. But soon, as the national match day passes. On October 18th, in the 8th round of the Bundesliga, Leverkusen drew with Wolfsburg 2-2 away from home. Although Leverkusen did not win, the 2 goals were scored by both teams. Luo Ye scored when the ball was behind, and his number of Bundesliga goals increased to 14. On October 21st, in the third round of the Europa League group stage, Leverkusen faced Atletico Madrid at home, and the two sides drew 0-0. 2 days later in the China Cup, the team was forced to make a major rotation, and even Luo Ye was not included in the match roster. As a result, the team was eliminated by Borussia Mönchengladbach despite the major rotation. However, the National Cup is not the focus of Leverkusen. Leverkusen's focus this season is on the league. Looking back, Leverkusen defeated Freiburg 2-1 away from home in the 11th round, the Europa League was defeated by Rosenborg 3-1 in the 4th round of the group stage, and lost 2-3 away from home in the 12th round. Kaiserslautern suffered its first defeat in the league, but then the team won 4 consecutive games. They defeated St. Pauli in the 13th round of the league, defeated Hoffenheim in the 14th round of the league, beat Aris 4-0 at home in the 5th round of the Europa League group stage, and defeated Aris 3-1 in the 15th round of the league. Cologne. This period of time. Although Leverkusen did not have a winning streak and even lost. But Luo Ye maintained an extremely dazzling state. The theme of almost every weekend in the Hansi media is, Luo scores a goal. Luo scores a shocking goal again, Luo scores a long shot. Luo scores the savior, and so on. Almost every week. Luo Ye will appear on the front page of Hansi media. Every week, there is big coverage about him. Describe his goals in the game and his crazy scoring state. After 15 league rounds, Luo Ye has scored 23 league goals in the Bundesliga. Scored 8 goals in the Europa League. What does this mean? This means Luo Ye's number of goals in the Bundesliga has equaled the number of goals scored by Wolfsburg's Bosnia and Herzegovina forward Zeko last season's league Golden Boot. Yes. The number of Golden Boot goals scored in the Bundesliga last season was only 23. And Luo Ye. It took 15 rounds to equal this number of goals. 15 rounds, tying last season's Golden Boot. This title appeared in England, France, Italy, and Bosnia. This is a landmark event. This proves Luo Ye's absolutely powerful scoring ability. The whole of Europe is marveling at the scoring monster that appeared in the Bundesliga. All the European giants began to look at him with covetous eyes. Bayern, on the other hand, began to panic. When they started talking about the contract with Luo Ye was just an unknown player who had just emerged. And now, he is a super shooter famous in Europe. This change was so fast that Bayern was caught off guard. As the first half of the league is coming to an end, the winter window is approaching. The winter transfer window is about to open, which makes Bayern realize they must compromise, otherwise, when the winter transfer window opens, Bayern will not only be a competitor. In the end, Hoeneß gritted his teeth and accepted Mendes' conditions for 5 years. Annual salary, €6 million. The goal award is awarded to the entire team. The appearance fee is paid by the entire team. The signing fee is €1 million. 3-year contract. Liquidated damages, €60 million. Episode 42, rival Atletico Madrid seizes first place in the group. I make money. I don't even know how to spend it. In the locker room, Luo Ye happily sang a happy ditty in Helan dialect, Helan province of the Dragon Kingdom, while changing clothes. Just yesterday, Hanks gave Luo Ye a day off to go to Munich and sign a new contract with Bayern. The signing fee of €1 million, after tax, will be available immediately. €1 million. Comrades. What is this concept? According to the current exchange rate, this is more than 10 million renminbi. Now the house price in Magic City is only 20,000. With 10 million, you can buy a house in a good location in the Magic City for 500 square meters. TSK. If this money is spent, it will be doubled countless times in 10 years. Luo. Congratulations. Reinhardt's came closer. Everyone knows that Luo Ye has signed a new contract with Bayern, can you not know? The first time Luo Ye signed his name on the new contract. Bayern club officials couldn't wait to announce the news on their official website and official social media. On the one hand, it is to tell other wealthy families, don't think about it, Luo Ye is mine. On the other hand, it also reassures Bayern fans who have been a little restless recently. Bayern Munich is not in good shape lately. The current situation in the league standings is this. Leverkusen has 11 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss in 15 league rounds, scoring 36 points and ranking first in the league standings. Behind them is Schalke 04, who scored 34 points, 2 points behind Leverkusen. Dortmund scored 33 points, 3 points behind Leverkusen in third place. Ranked 4th is Werder Bremen with 29 points. And what about Bayern? They're not even 5th. But 6th place. They scored 27 points, trailing Borussia Mönchengladbach, who also scored 27 points, and ranked 6th in the league with a goal difference disadvantage. The overlord of the Bundesliga is actually ranked 6th after half the league. This simply made Bayern fans go crazy. Especially the first-placed Leverkusen makes Bayern fans crazy. Their guy who scored 23 league goals is a Bayern player. If his 23 goals belong to Bayern, why would Bayern be ranked 6th in the league now? So, for Bayern senior management, completing the contract extension with Luo Ye will undoubtedly boost the confidence of the fans and soothe their frenzied mood. Thank you, that's right. Luo Ye, help me call everyone here. Is everyone okay today? Let's go out and have some fun tonight. I'll treat you. How about it? Reinhardt's also knew that Luo Ye was now a rich man. An annual salary of 6 million is not the maximum salary at Bayern. But in Leverkusen, only Ballack's salary can compare with him. So Reinhardt's was not polite. Okay, I'll call someone. There were many Leverkusen players participating in the event this time. After all, it was Luo Ye's treat. Everyone is very considerate. This also shows that Luo Ye's popularity is quite good. He has a cheerful personality, gets along well with his family, and does not pretend to be the team's top scorer. Good character and strong strength. Even though he is on loan from Bayern, Leverkusen's players have a pretty good relationship with him privately. So the next day, Hank saw that almost half of his team's players had gone to the nightclub to hang out. My temples couldn't help but pout. But it's okay. The team's next game is away to Atletico Madrid. The game won't take place for another 3 days. As long as there is no fooling around before the game, the impact should not be too big. This is a key match in the Europa League group stage. Because this is related to the first or second position in the group. Although the first and second place in the group both qualified. But the treatment is completely different. Especially after entering the knockout rounds. The third place in the Champions League group will directly fall to the top 32 knockout rounds of the Europa League. This means, after qualifying from the group stage, the teams participating in the Europa League group stage will have the opportunity to play against some Champions League championship-level teams. The difference between the first place in the group and the second place in the group is this. The first place in the group will not be drawn against the opponent who slipped from the third place in the Champions League group stage. This means that the team can go further in the knockout rounds. Although the Europa League is not as influential as the Champions League, it is a European competition after all. For Leverkusen, if it can go further in the European competition, it can get points. More broadcast revenue and ticket revenue are naturally better. With any luck. It's not like a team of Leverkusen's level cannot compete for a Europa League championship, it's also a European championship after all. Therefore, the situation of getting the first pair of knockout rounds in the group is quite critical. Atletico Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen are undoubtedly the favorites to qualify in this group. Neither Rosenborg nor Aris are capable of threatening them. Therefore, the matchup that determines first and second place in the group is a head-to-head confrontation between these two teams. Media in Madrid think so. Atletico Madrid has the advantage. Because they played against each other in the first round and drew 0-0 on the road. And this time back at home, they naturally have greater advantages. Leverkusen has Luo Ye. Atletico Madrid also has strikers, Uruguayan forward Diego Forlan and Argentinian forward Agüero. Forlan has scored 7 goals in the Europa League this season and 11 goals in 16 rounds of La Liga. Agüero scored 6 goals in the Europa League and 14 in the 16th round of La Liga. Although not as good as Luo Ye in terms of total goals scored. But in the eyes of the Madrid media, France's historical status lies here. His playing experience far exceeds that of Luo Ye. But let's talk about talent. The equally young Agüero is as talented as Luo Ye, or even better. Therefore, the media in Madrid believe that there is no problem at all for Atletico Madrid to defeat Leverkusen at their home court and grab the first place in the group. P.S. This is the style of this book. Unimportant games will be skipped. After all, Luo Ye is a forward and will definitely score goals continuously. If every game is written in detail, it will become a running account. The author will focus on the priority. Important games will be described in detail. For unimportant games, everyone will just look at the data. Episode 43, in a desperate situation, Luo Ye has his own way. Agüero. Calderón Stadium. Home of Atletico Madrid. In addition to Real Madrid, the homestands of another world-renowned club in this city emitted waves of deafening cheers. On the field, Argento's talented center Sergio Agüero is running with arms outstretched to celebrate his goal. This is his second goal in this game and Atletico Madrid's third goal in this game. At this moment. Score, 3-0, yes. Just before the end of the first half, Agüero scored Atletico Madrid's third goal of the game. This result left the Leverkusen players stunned. Almost all Leverkusen fans were also stunned. This is the #1 team in the Bundesliga? Huh. The commentator on Madrid's Corb TV was excited. This sentence also excited Atletico Madrid fans and even many La Liga fans. Within the league, the teams are rivals. When it comes to dealing with the outside world, everyone is quite consistent in dealing with the outside world. For a while. On social media like Twitter. Full of mockery of Leverkusen and the Bundesliga. The Bundesliga still depends on Bayern. Leverkusen, ranked first in the Bundesliga, was defeated by Atletico Madrid, ranked 6th in La Liga, 3-0 at halftime. Is La Liga too strong or Bundesliga too weak? The score of 3-0 really embarrassed the Leverkusen fans. On the sidelines, Henk's face was also very ugly. In fact, if Leverkusen did not play well in this game, it does not necessarily mean there was a problem with their tactics. Purely in the first minute of the game, on Atletico Madrid's side, Forlan's long-range shot hit the defensive player and caused refraction, leaving goalkeeper Benalio can only watch the ball and sigh. After falling behind at the beginning of the game, Leverkusen had to attack aggressively. In this case, rely on a quick counterattack. Aguero got 2 single opportunities and expanded the score to 3-0. Damn it, Leverkusen didn't make any crosses at all in this game. The opponent was too defensive. How can we not die? We fell behind at the beginning of the game and almost all the opponents returned to defense. If you can't hit the cross, you can't take advantage of Luo Ye's header. This game will be difficult. The Huntsy reporters who came to the away game shook their heads. The Long Kingdom reporters were also a little disappointed. If Leverkusen is second in the group, it is likely to draw an opponent who has fallen from the Champions League group. In this case, it will be difficult to continue to advance in the knockout rounds. In the past, the Dragon Country reporters would have been quite satisfied if they could actually play in the European knockout rounds. But now, Leverkusen is #1 in the Bundesliga. It's really disappointing to lose the first place in the group in such a cowardly way. Actually, it doesn't matter if we are second in the group. This loss can also allow Leverkusen to learn lessons. On the Dragon Kingdom network, some fans said so. But for Luo Ye, he didn't want to accept a humiliating defeat. He didn't know if he could come back from 3 goals down. But one thing is clear to him: as long as he is on the court, he will not give up. He is the striker, no matter what the score is. The pursuit of scoring goals is an instinct engraved in his DNA. And, now, only scoring goals can save the team. It seemed that Hanks was in the dressing room at halftime with the hairdryer on full power. But in addition to turning on the hairdryer, Hanks also gave a plan of action for the second half. We need to strengthen our long-range shots, he said. Atletico Madrid was obviously very wary of Leverkusen's cross from the wing. Plus their wide midfielders almost stepped up to participate in the attack. They were 3 goals ahead and qualified to do so. So the space on the wing is locked up. When the other party shrinks, Hanks could only find a way to shoot from long range. Fortunately, Leverkusen still has long-range shooting experts. Balik's long shot is good. Moreover, Luo Ye can also be pulled out to hit long shots. After the second half of the game started, Atletico Madrid made the first substitution. Veteran Fran was substituted. Replacing him was Diego Costa, a beauty in his prime. Costa and Aguero. Both are forwards with a certain speed. After their appearance, Atletico Madrid's counterattack threat became even greater. Atletico Madrid fans can just wait for the victory, the commentator of Radio Kobe said firmly. Soon, people discovered the changes in Leverkusen's tactics. Kissling became the fort for Luo Ye. And Luo Ye pulled out of the penalty area to try a long shot. Less than 10 minutes into the second half, Luo Ye tried 3 long-range shots. One of them was slightly over the crossbar, and the other 2 hit the door frame. However, they were all saved by Atletico Madrid's talented goalkeeper, 19-year-old David De Gea. David De Gea may be the goalkeeper with the most responsive reactions now. He is tall and lanky, looks very light, and reacts extremely quickly. Luo Ye has the ability to shoot long shots, but it is still difficult for him to use long shots to break the goal of De Gea, who is best at catching long shots. Hans Schultz, the commentator for Sky Sports TV, said with a frown. This is also the view of many commentators and football experts. Their theory is correct. De Gea is indeed very capable of catching long shots. He is very light and reacts quickly. The long-distance ball just allows De Gea to take advantage of his quick reactions. But the only thing all commentators and football pundits fail to consider is Luo Ye's shooting power. But De Gea once again saved Luo Ye's shot from outside the penalty area. He got up from the ground and shook his hands. My wrist, it really hurts. Damn, this Longwood guy's shooting power is so damn powerful. De Gea cursed secretly. He was under a lot of pressure, but he tried to act calmly, as if he didn't care at all about Luo Ye's shot. Luo Ye frowned slightly when he saw the scene. However, he has no intention of giving up long-range shots, because every long-range shot has a high probability of getting a corner kick, which is also an opportunity for Leverkusen. As expected of De Gea, Luo Ye couldn't help but admire the young De Gea's calm expression. Is it because my shooting power is not strong enough? Luo Ye secretly made up his mind that next time, he needs to exert more force. De Gea didn't know what Luo Ye was thinking, but for some reason, his wrist seemed to be getting more painful. Episode 44, Changes in the Situation, Luo Ye's Violent Aesthetics. The commentator of Radio Kobe is very satisfied with the current situation. Atletico Madrid has secured first place in the group, he said. There was also joy in the Calderon stands. Songs sounded in turn. Atletico Madrid fans also celebrated in the stands. In their view, the game is over. The next time is just garbage time. Leverkusen's attack had no answer for Atletico Madrid's defense. Just like it is now. They can now only attack through the tactic of passing high-altitude balls directly from the backcourt. What is the use of this ancient long-passing tactic that has been used since the 19th century? How can this backward style of play threaten De Gea's goal? Wanting to score a goal while playing like this is simply delusional. Right now, Reinartz gets the ball near the center circle. Leverkusen's central defenders have already reached this position. The three lines of Atletico Madrid 442 are very clear, and the space on the wing and center is blocked. Therefore, Reinartz could only blame his good friend Luo Ye. He directly launched a long pass. Luo Ye jumped high, overpowered Atletico Madrid's midfielder Mario Suarez, and headed the ball to Kiesling. Instead of running forward with the ball, Kiesling stopped the ball, seemingly waiting for the players in the back row to catch up. Really? As Leverkusen's two fullbacks pushed forward at high speed from the wing at the same time, Atletico Madrid's overall defense also shrank backwards. At this time, Kiesling passed a ground ball towards his side and back, and the ball speed was not fast. At this moment, Luo Ye started to speed up, and he completely increased his speed. Mario Suarez was surprised. A big man like Luo Ye actually has such speed and agility, but I am still surprised. I still have to defend how I should defend. He quickly turned around and rushed over, put his foot down, and made a flying shovel. He saw it very accurately, and it was quite far away from the goal now. If Luo Ye wanted to take a long shot, he would at least take it 2 or 3 meters forward. As we all know, Luo Ye's dribbling is not good, he just walks the ball out, and then just chasing forward. In the air, I am not as good as you. On the ground, you are not as good as me. Mario Suarez is looking forward to another successful defense against the top scorer in the Bundesliga. He suddenly realized something was wrong. Luo Ye didn't hit the ball, direct shot. Before Mario Suarez could react, he heard a bang and the football flew over his foot that was down on the shovel. He hurriedly turned his head. Luo Ye did not pursue any angle with this long shot. Because he found that it is difficult to hit a very tricky angle, and if the angle is not tricky enough, De Gea will pounce on him. That being the case, then he no longer pursues angles, but pursues speed. Fully unleash your shooting power. The strength of 130 points is definitely enough for De Gea to drink a pot. De Gea is as thin as a monkey, and he lacks strength at first glance. In this case, let's fight. It's different from what Mario Suarez thought. Although this ball is 33 or 4 meters away from the goal, it is still a bit far away. But Luo Ye came up to the ball. Kiesling's return pass itself has a certain ball speed. Coupled with Luo Ye's sprinting speed and the speed of swinging his thighs, once the force is exerted, the speed of the ball will be very high. The horror. The loud noise also proved this. But when De Gea was paying full attention to football, there seemed to be a bug in the world in front of him. He didn't see the flight path of the football, only a small dot that suddenly grew from small to large. One moment, he saw Ye Luo rushing up to shoot, and the next moment, he saw the football flying in front of him. When the football arrived in front of him, there was a sudden upward line change and passed over his head. The airflow caused by the football seemed to create a small tornado on his hair, causing a hair disaster, which caused his carefully managed hairstyle to become messy. De Gea's raised hand didn't look like he was making a save. And like protecting his face. Brush. He heard the voice of his holy queen. Then. It was the silence of the whole place. Then. When no one reacted. A blue figure rushed towards the restricted area. He rushed straight into the goal and scooped up the ball. It's Luo Ye. At this time, the commentators and fans suddenly reacted. Gulual. Schultz was chanting. All Leverkusen fans are waking up from their dreams. Beautiful. Well done. Low. Just as the fans were chanting, Luo Ye ran back with the football in his arms, clenched his fists, and shouted at his teammates, "Don't waste time. We still have a chance. Score one more of them. That's right. One more." The morale of Leverkusen's players was completely inspired. Luo Ye's kick was so inspiring. The TV broadcast replayed Luo Ye's goal over and over again. The football that was shot out like a cannonball flew almost close to the ground in the first half, and then, like a plane taking off on a runway, at the end of the flight, it began to climb. In the end, he rushed into the goal from the top of his head. This line amazes everyone. This almost weird flight path is really hard not to make people feel numb. And after the playback ends. Contest. It has already started. Leverkusen, who recovered one, began to attack aggressively. Their morale was high, but Atletico Madrid seemed to be frightened by Luo Ye's long shot. They were like frightened quails, shrinking into a ball, and the result was Luo Ye got another chance to shoot at the front of the penalty area. This time. Still a blast. Or a violent shot with extremely fast ball speed. The aesthetics of violence are on full display at this moment. But the football hit the lower edge of the crossbar with a bang and bounced into the goal. The entire Calderon Stadium was silent. Luo Ye. Shot. Ah. Another goal. Another goal. Just 1 minute. 1 minute. 2 goals. 3-2. 3-2. Leverkusen is only one behind. Schultz put his head in his hands and exclaimed in disbelief. Episode 45. Development of moves based on physical strength. Usually, going from tight to loose is easy. It's difficult to go from loose to tight, it requires surgery, cough cough cough. Said Farr. What I'm talking about here is the mentality of Atletico Madrid players. After a 3-goal lead, Atletico Madrid players are relaxed. There are pros and cons to this relaxation. But when the situation is favorable to them, Atletico Madrid players can play with a very relaxed mentality. But when the situation went against them and Atletico Madrid's players wanted to tense up, he found that their bodies were still very relaxed. This is going to kill you. Especially when conceding 2 goals in a row. Atletico Madrid's players realize that they have to tighten up, otherwise, if they are overturned by Bayer Leverkusen with a 3-goal lead, then they will become the laughingstock of the media and fans. In order not to make themselves the laughingstock, they must cheer up and not relax too much. But they want to be nervous, but their bodies can't keep up. Instead, Leverkusen found the rhythm and was passively beaten. It is different from the mental and physical distortions of Atletico Madrid players. The Leverkusen players were completely inspired by Luo Ye's 2 goals. They are so powerful. The attack was like a tide, bombarding the opponent's defense. Atletico Madrid fans, who were still making waves in the stands before, are now biting their lips and fingers, staring nervously at the court, their hearts almost stopping. Luo Ye. Header. Luo Ye, grabbing points in the penalty area. Long shot. Here it comes. It's still Luo Ye. De Gea made a key save. The continuous attacks caused Atletico Madrid's formation to become disorganized. Almost all Atletico Madrid supporters began to sweat on their backs. The situation of the game has really taken a turn for the worse for Atletico Madrid. Take advantage of a dead ball opportunity. Atletico Madrid head coach Florence made the substitution. 2 players were replaced at once. Raul Garcia and Uruguayan center-back Godin played. Replaced Escudero and Agüero. 541. Atletico Madrid will completely defend the score. Whether this substitution is correct or not is debatable, but for Atletico Madrid, they must also make changes. The worst thing that can happen is that the head coach has no instructions in such a situation. Even incorrect changes are better than no changes at all. After replacing a midfielder and a defender, Atletico Madrid's players also unified their thinking. They have to defend. Complete defense. What Leverkusen is facing now is no longer a bus, but a city wall. When Luo Ye got the ball at the front of the penalty area, he looked around and saw that it was packed with people. Basically, no space, no lines. What to do? After a slight hesitation, Mario Suarez rushed forward. In the top arena, there is no room for even half a second of hesitation. Luo Ye missed the chance to shoot due to this hesitation. He had no choice but to step forward, turn around, and block Mario Suarez behind him. At the same time, he also changed from facing the direction of the attack to facing away from the direction of the attack. This made many Atletico Madrid fans in the stands breathe a sigh of relief. Atletico Madrid's coaches and players on the bench also breathed a sigh of relief. Luo Ye's previous 2 shots scared them. Now that his back is to the goal, there should be no threat. The most he can do is pass the ball. Luo Ye doesn't think so. He leaned back, and Mario Suarez was squeezed so hard that he couldn't move. Luo Ye couldn't help but his eyes lit up. For Luo Ye, how to develop more moves based on his strong physical strength is the question he thinks about the most. Body, make good use of it. Thinking of this, Luo Ye stepped on the ball and stepped back. Mario Suarez struggled to hold on, but he couldn't stop Luo Ye's force of pushing back. This scene looks a bit strange to outsiders. Commentator Schultz was also a little confused. Is this football or basketball? This looks a lot like a basketball center player's post-up action. It's weird, but it's effective. Luo Ye pressed Mario Suarez all the way into the penalty area. Once inside the penalty area, Atletico Madrid players were wary. At this time, their movements must be clean. Otherwise, once the opponent falls to the ground, the referee may award a penalty kick. Luo Ye immediately felt the pressure on his body relax. Mario Suarez, who was holding his jersey with both hands, hoping to knock him to the ground, immediately let go. He raised his hands high to show that his hands were here and there was no inappropriate movement. At the same time, his body was desperately moving towards the ball. Luo Ye is crowded. But how can he squeeze through Luo Ye, Luo Ye suddenly realized at this time. Chance. Coming. He knew that his opponent was trying to avoid the enemy, so he didn't dare to take action. Without hand movements, Luo Ye would be much more relaxed. He flicked the ball to the side and then turned around suddenly. The tall man of 1.92 meters seemed light and agile at this time. Luo Ye quickly completed his turn, and then turn around and volley. The ball connected so quickly. His right foot hit the football hard, making a crisp sound. De Gea didn't see Luo Ye's shot. By the time he saw the football coming, it was already too late. Row. RO. Commentator Schultz yelled when he saw Luo Ye turning around. Goal. The cheers for the goal sounded for the third time. Episode 46. Big, 4, happy. Unbelievable. 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 Hat trick. Luo Ye scored a hat trick again. He has already scored 12 goals in the Europa League before the group stage is over. It's unbelievable. What else can you say? What else can you say? Luo Ye advanced into the penalty area in a very weird way, and then scored another goal with a turning volley. Atletico Madrid goalkeeper De Gea was completely blindsided in this game. He probably never thought about returning. There is someone whose shooting power is so powerful. Of course, the goalkeeper has nothing to do with conceding this goal. No goalkeeper can do anything about this goal. The commentators were exclaiming. In the Dragon Kingdom. Duan Xian's exclamation spread throughout thousands of households. But not many fans are listening to what the commentators are saying anymore. Everyone jumped up in disbelief, some held their heads in their hands, and some exclaimed. F***K. 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 What is this? This way of scoring. To be honest, it looks a little ugly at first, but the more you look at it, the more you look at it. Post-up play? It was indeed a post-up. Mario Suarez didn't even pull Luo Ye down, but he pushed him into the penalty area like a bulldozer. TSK, 3-0 lead at halftime, but was equalized in the second half. Did Atletico Madrid get the script from Istanbul? They're not going to pop out the champagne at halftime, are they? While the fans of the Dragon Kingdom were amazed. At the scene. Calderon Stadium. Atletico Madrid fans were a little dumbfounded. How excited they were in the first half and how frustrated they are now. Before they could react. The Leverkusen striker from the Dragon Kingdom scored 3 goals and completely beat up the Atletico Madrid fans. A 3-0 lead. Snapped. Very soon. Suddenly it became 3-3. In fact, if it ends with this score, Atletico Madrid still has a slight advantage. They have one more goal difference than Leverkusen. With both sides having the same points, Atletico Madrid still ranks first. But even so, they are not willing to accept it either. They once led by 3 goals, but were beaten by 3 goals in a row. How can you bear this? The expressions of the entire Atletico Madrid fans in Calderon were almost the same as copied and pasted. They frowned, folded their hands, and stared at the court solemnly. Sing? Create an atmosphere? How can Atletico Madrid fans care about this now? This gave the more than 1,000 Leverkusen fans who came to the scene a chance. They sang hymns loudly. Lo! Long live! They roared and chanted Luo Ye's name. The Dragon Kingdom reporters present were in disbelief when they heard such shouts. Not many players from the Dragon Country are so recognized in Europe. Even. Maybe it's just Luo Ye. Atletico Madrid head coach Flores' face was extremely gloomy. He stood on the sidelines, and if he could, he would even replace all 11 Atletico Madrid players on the pitch. But obviously, he didn't have this chance. He has no substitutions in hand. In any case, Atletico Madrid can only rely on these 11 people on the field. Thinking about it rationally, in fact, it doesn't matter to Atletico Madrid if this game is a draw. They are still first in the draw anyway. The first place in the Europa League group does not need to play the playoffs. The rules for entering the Europa League top 16 are like this. The first place in the 8 groups directly enters the knockout round of the top 16. The second place in the group will compete with the 8 third-place players in the Champions League in a home and away knockout playoff to compete for the other 8 places in the top 16. Thus, this means that if you finish second in the group, you will have to play 2 more high-intensity knockout games. No team wants to be too distracted in an event like this. Therefore, if Atletico Madrid can maintain this score until the end of the game, it will actually be beneficial to them. But the problem is, Atletico Madrid players don't think so. After Leverkusen scored the third goal, from leading 3-0 to being tied 3-3, the players of Atletico Madrid feel great shame, and they are determined to use a victory to wash away their shame. So, Flores shouted from the sidelines. Atletico Madrid's players didn't pay much attention, but pressed hard and attacked. Atletico Madrid's league performance has been poor this season, and the team's top brass is already planning a coaching change. Flores' authority in the locker room, which failed to gain the support of the team's senior management, was also greatly damaged. At such a moment, Atletico Madrid's players did not follow Flores' instructions to defend solidly from the sidelines, but launched a fierce attack. Facing the opponent's heavy pressure, Leverkusen is not panicking either. They are in high spirits, and their morale is incredibly high. How can they be afraid of confronting their opponents? In terms of momentum, the two sides are not on the same level at all. The mentality is not on the same level either. After being equalized by their opponents with 3 consecutive goals, Atletico Madrid's players became a little anxious. This is reflected in the fact that he doesn't have much patience on the offensive end. Regardless of whether there is a chance or not, he just shoots with his head covered. Although blind shooting allowed Atletico Madrid to brush up a lot of shooting data, but there were very few attacks that really threatened Benalio's goal. The 83rd minute of the game. Diego Costa, the beauty of the golden era, took the ball with his back at the front of the penalty area and then turned around and shot. Tried to prove that not everyone belongs to Luo Ye. Seeing that Diego Costa was about to turn his back and shoot, Reinartz completed a very beautiful defense. He first squeezed his body forward, causing Diego Costa's body to sway, and his big foot was swung into the air. At the same time, he lost his center of gravity. Reinartz stretched his foot and kicked the ball to Ballack. Ballack didn't stop the ball and passed the ball forward directly, hitting Kiesling, who was already running forward. Kiesling, single sword. To the narrator's exclamation. Kiesling raised his foot and shot, but De Gea blocked it from outside the penalty area. But just when Atletico Madrid fans thought the danger had been averted, outside the restricted area, a figure burst out. Luo Ye. To the narrator's exclamations. Luo Ye faced the ball with his instep straight, his body like a bow and his feet like arrows. Boom. Volley. Volley. The football drew a rainbow-like arc in the air. From a blind spot, he fell into the net. Schultz, the commentator of Sky Sports TV, took a deep breath and roared with the highest decibel and strongest breath since he started working in the industry. Big Four happy. Episode 47, Mourinho, this guy may be worth hundreds of millions. Big Four. Big Four. Ah. Luo Ye. Luo Ye staged the Big Four. Duan Xian, the commentator of Longwan National TV Sports Channel, was even a little incoherent. He looked at the scene happening in front of him in disbelief. Happy 4th of year. Although Luo Ye's 4th goal is actually not that beautiful. Although it was a volley, the line was not bad. But after all, at this time, De Gea lost his center of gravity and fell to the ground because he blocked Kiesling's single sword. It's almost an empty goal. But in any case, this is the 4th goal in this game. To know a hat-trick is already a big deal. For many forwards who sound very good, it is difficult to even count the number of hat-tricks they have performed in their careers. Not to mention the 4th birthday. Many well-known forwards have never even scored 4 goals in their careers. And Luo Ye, in this Europa League group match, when the team was 3 goals behind, he scored 4 goals in a row to help the team complete a shocking comeback. What does one's own strength mean? Courtside. Flores was numb. A 3-goal lead can be reversed, but not on the spot. Fortunately, this game is only the group stage of the Europa League. If it were a game like the Champions League, then this game would probably appear countless times in the future in some kind of shattering reversal review. This game is over. Just look at the excited faces of the people on the other side. Hank spread his arms, clenched his fists, and shouted from the sidelines. The entire Leverkusen bench and coaching bench were boiling. As soon as Luo Ye saw the football being kicked in, he planned to rush to the sideline and kneel down to celebrate. He is now thinking about his signature celebration method. He has already made a preliminary decision. If the ball is scored with your feet, then slide and kneel. If the goal is scored with the head, then imitate the way a plane dives and drops bombs to celebrate. Anyway, many media in Hans's country are already giving him nicknames. What kind of Dragon Kingdom bomber, what kind of figure 16 god of war, etc. Anyway, the imagination of the Hans people comes first. At first glance, these nicknames look like the names of equipment in the Second World War game, which is embarrassing. However, just as he was about to rush out, Kiesling turned back and knocked him to the ground, and then he was pinned down by the Leverkusen players, who came up crazily. Even goalkeeper Benalio rushed up to celebrate. Everyone was almost carried away. Such a shocking reversal is enough to go down in history. Everyone was chanting. Only Luo Ye, who scored the goal, was pushed to the bottom and stuck out his tongue and slapped the floor. What saved him was the referee. Because they celebrated for too long. When Luo Ye got up from the ground, he no longer had the passion to kneel down. He felt that if he pressed for a few more minutes, he might be crushed to death by the animals. Have to. He may become the first football player to die while celebrating a goal. The camera locked on Luo Ye. There were scattered boos at the Calderon Stadium. But no matter how I heard the voice, I felt a little lacking in confidence. Not even as loud as the cheers from the away fans. The camera now showed the road outside Calderon Stadium. I saw groups of Sheets fans already walking to parking lots, subway stations, bus stops, etc. Although Atletico Madrid is now only 1 goal behind. But everyone knows it. They have no hope left. That being the case, many Atletico Madrid fans also chose to leave early. If I can't catch the second bus later, wouldn't I lose my wife and lose my army? In fact, this is also true. After this goal was scored, all fighting spirit had evaporated from Atletico Madrid's players. In the next few minutes of the game, Leverkusen was in control. Even if it weren't for the fact that there was so little game time left. They might even keep conceding goals. As the referee blew the whistle for the end of the game, Atletico Madrid players hurriedly left the field with their heads lowered. The Atletico Madrid fans in the stands were almost gone. This stadium has become a sea of celebration for Leverkusen people. With this shocking reversal, Leverkusen also took first place in the group. At least we can play 2 less knockout games. In the city of Madrid, the most famous team is not Atletico Madrid, but their city rival Real Madrid. At this moment, at Real Madrid's training base. Real Madrid's training has ended long ago, but the lights in head coach Mourinho's office are still on. Mourinho is now the most watched head coach in the world. Led Inter Milan to win the Triple Crown, after winning the Champions League, Coppa Italia, and Serie A last season. He joined the world's largest club, Real Madrid. Although this season there was an embarrassing 1-5 away defeat to arch-rival Barcelona, overall, the change in Real Madrid's mental outlook this season is still outstanding. After clearing out the veterans and introducing fresh blood, Real Madrid seems to have new vitality. And Mourinho, who leads this team forward, knows it very well. Real Madrid is still some distance away from truly being able to challenge Cosmos Barcelona. Mourinho crossed his arms and stared at Luo Ye holding a football on the TV screen while being interviewed by reporters. Next to him, his main assistant Faria stared at the TV in the same posture. Can you imagine a player improving faster than him? Mourinho suddenly asked. After hearing this, Faria shook his head and said, really not. When we first started paying attention to him, he was still a rough guy who could only header the ball. But now, not only can he take long shots, but his skills with his feet have also improved. It's also obvious, his running ability and prediction of landing points have improved even more. Mourinho said. I think we may be able to take action, preferably in this winter window, or later. I estimate this guy is worth hundreds of millions. He turned to look at his assistant. Faria smacked her lips. Worth hundreds of millions? Can this guy really be worth hundreds of millions? Faria suddenly frowned. Florentino may not agree, and we have Higuain and Benzema. He would agree, he is a pure businessman. Mourinho grinned. Faria nodded. He understands what Mourinho means if Real Madrid has a Dragon Country player who can play the main role stably in Real Madrid. So how much money can Real Madrid make? Episode 48, he can no longer be ignored. Atletico Madrid led 3-0 at halftime, but Leverkusen completed a shocking comeback, 4-3. This game immediately became the headlines of the media throughout the country. Chinese media have criticized the performance of Atletico Madrid players on the court and criticized Atletico Madrid coach Flores' on-the-spot response. After a 3-goal lead and a 4-goal reversal, Atletico Madrid was undoubtedly nailed on the Europa League shame list. But to be fair, maybe Atletico Madrid wasn't too big. The only problem is Dragon Kingdom forward Luo Ye. Asian Daily did not follow the criticism from the Chinese media in the report. Instead, it excused Atletico Madrid. Aspen, but it is the mouthpiece of Real Madrid. Normally, if Atletico Madrid is unlucky, they will definitely add insult to injury. How can I start saying good things about Atletico Madrid now? The sun comes out in the west? Look carefully. Oh. It turned out that they were all reports praising Luo Ye. What Mr. Key to the game? What is the chief director of today's reversal? What is the strongest center of the new generation? It's really rare to see such praise for non-Real Madrid players, from Aspen, reports. It's not that there is nothing, it's when Real Madrid plans to attack a certain player. Mouthpieces like Acebao will start to jump up and down. This is relatively rare to see similar situations in other countries. After all, in places such as England or the country of Hans, although the media is also biased, there are also cases where a certain media has a better relationship with a certain club. But it is really rare for the media to be the mouthpiece of the club like this in the country. The reason? It's because we are in salted duck country. Big clubs are often involved in domestic politics. Its influence in the country is different from the influence of ordinary foreign clubs in the country. For example, the political nature of the Barcelona club is very strong, it can almost be regarded as the spiritual sustenance of Catalonia. So when ASB starts to praise a certain player, it can be seen as Real Madrid preparing to take action on a certain player. Florentino will indeed not refuse to introduce Luo Ye. The introduction of Luo Ye means a huge market. This is a temptation that Real Madrid cannot refuse. We may need to contact Luo Ye privately, Mourinho suggested. Florentino grinned. Jose, no player would refuse Real Madrid's invitation. Real Madrid? Sorry, not interested. After returning to the country of Hans, Leverkusen is about to usher in a crucial battle. The 16th round of the league. Leverkusen plays Schalke 04 away. This is a highlight of the Bundesliga, because the result of this game is directly related to the ownership of the halfway championship. Although the halftime champion is not a real champion, there is no way to win a trophy. But winning the half-distance championship is a landmark event. After half of the league, all teams have played against each other once. In this case, the first-place team has proven its strength and has the confidence to win the championship. In fact, this is also true. Among the Bundesliga champions in the past 20 years, 15 times the Bundesliga champion was also the halftime champion of the season. Winning the halfway championship basically means that the probability of winning the final championship is already very high. Many gambling companies will even start to adjust odds after the end of the half-season league, and the winning odds of many half-season champions will be adjusted accordingly. And for a team, being able to win the half-season championship is also a great encouragement to the team's morale. However, at the press conference before this game, when Hanks appeared at the press conference with Luo Ye, who was in excellent form recently, but I found that a lot of reporters from Banya country came, and their problems basically have nothing to do with the game. It all revolves around Real Madrid and Luo Ye. I am focusing on Leverkusen now. Winter window? It is impossible to transfer in the winter window. Next year. I still have a contract with Bayern. Luo Ye shook his head and said, directly clearing up the ambiguity between himself and Real Madrid. On the one hand, he really will not choose to leave the team in the winter window. Things are looking great in Leverkusen right now. The league is seeing rapid progress. Leaving in the winter transfer window, isn't this a crazy move? On the other hand, he himself doesn't dream of becoming a football emperor. In fact, he doesn't have any particular favorite team. So there is no such thing as Emperor Menger's demonic dream on his side. Some players get excited when they hear the call from Real Madrid and desperately want to join the biggest club in the world. But Luo Ye would not be so impulsive. He chose to renew his contract with Bayern because he thinks Bayern is a good platform, and since he came out of Bayern's youth training camp, he has an advantage in fan relations and locker room relations. As for leaving Bayern? That will definitely happen after he becomes famous at Bayern. As for joining Real Madrid now? He doesn't have the time. Real Madrid's dressing room may be the most complicated dressing room in the world. Now he, the little Karami, has plunged into it and is an outsider again. Neither belongs to the Portuguese-speaking gang nor the local faction. I don't know how I will die. Mourinho said he would come to watch this game. Is he here to inspect Schalke 04, Real Madrid's opponent in the last 16 of the Champions League, or is he here to inspect your condition? This has nothing to do with me. I repeat, this season, I am only focused on Leverkusen. Luo Ye said. Our goal is to defeat all competitors and win the championship. Whether it is the Bundesliga halftime championship or the final championship. Luo Ye makes no secret of his championship ambitions. And now, no reporter or media dared to laugh at him anymore. Because his identity is different. 23 Bundesliga goals were scored in 15 league rounds, and 13 Europa League goals were scored in 6 group matches. Less than halfway through the league, the total number of goals has reached 36 super shooters. Who dares to ignore it? Episode 49, I want the halftime championship, and the Bundesliga championship, too. Mourinho will come to Schalke Stadium to watch this Bundesliga focus game. This is indeed big news. Even Hungsie Sky Sports TV specifically highlighted this point in the preview TV news before the game. Maybe Mourinho is here to inspect Luo Ye, maybe he is really here to see Real Madrid's opponent Schalke 04 in the Champions League round of 16. Maybe a combination of both. But having said that, an 18-year-old striker who scored 23 goals in less than half a season in the Bundesliga, which wealthy club wouldn't be interested? Bayern has made it clear that Luo is not for sale, but now the media has dug out the details of Luo's contract. His contract contains a liquidated damages of 60 million, which may have seemed unreasonable before. It's safe, but now it seems, there are definitely many teams willing to pay 60 million to take away Luo Ye. Before this focus battle, I think it is necessary for us to introduce the current situation of the standings. Leverkusen scored 35 points in the 15th round of the league and ranked first in the league. Schalke 04 scored 33 points. Ranked second in the league, followed by Dortmund, who scored 32 points and ranked third in the league. The Bundesliga championship situation this season looks quite fierce so far, with many teams retaining the ability to compete. Hope of the championship, and don't forget Bayern. Although they are 7 points behind the top spot, if they find their form in the second half of the league, the 7-point gap will really not be a big gap for Bayern. Sky Sports TV is showing you a preview of this game. During this period, Hans was discussing this crucial battle in China that was related to the ownership of the half-distance championship. As for the fact that Mourinho is coming to the Schalke Stadium to watch the game, it has not attracted much attention. Because Mourinho does have reason to pay more attention to the knockout rounds of the top 16, who made Real Madrid stop in the top 16 for several years in a row and become the top 16. This time Real Madrid's opponent in the Champions League round of 16 draw was Schalke 04. This has to make people suspect that it is a trick of UEFA. King of the Ring Raul returns to the Bernabeu. What a good stunt. For the sake of gimmicks and traffic, UEFA will do anything. For example, let Arsenal draw either Barcelona or Bayern this year in a row. Arsenal's opponent in the top 16 this season is Bayern Munich. This has become a meme. As long as it becomes a meme, it cannot escape the clutches of UEFA. Magath, the head coach of Schalke 04, naturally knows that Mourinho's purpose of coming to Schalke to watch the game is not just to inspect Luo Ye. To see the player's performance, just watch the game video. When he came here, he was probably more interested in inspecting Schalke 04's game performance, and he also disclosed his itinerary several days in advance. His purpose is really unpredictable. However, it is impossible for Magath to hide in this game just because Mourinho is watching. Facing Leverkusen, facing a center like Luo Ye. Schalke 04 is not qualified to hide their stupidity. They have to go all out. His main scoring method is heading. In the conference room of Schalke 04 training base, Schalke 04 technical analyst Kevin Reinartz is introducing to his colleagues the results of his comprehensive research on Luo Ye these days. Now Luo Ye faces, no matter what opponent he faces in the Bundesliga. Such comprehensive, torn apart and crushed analysis is essential. He scored 23 goals, but 16 of those 23 goals were headers of various kinds. The TV screen in front of him was playing a scene of Luo Ye leaping high and ravaging all central defenders. Of course, we can't forget his long-range shots either. Kevin Reinartz said. His long shot was first used in the game against Bayern, and then it became one of his main scoring methods. His long shot is characterized by great power and almost no spin or arc. The ball speed is ridiculously fast. Almost every long shot can cause great trouble for his opponents. Kevin Reinartz analyzed. And I think that the most core of Luo Ye's current abilities is his power. Yes. His strength, as well as the confrontation ability and terrifying shooting power brought by the strong strength. Please see, this is his confrontation with many heavyweight center-backs who play in the Bundesliga and are known for their confrontation and frontal defense. We can clearly see that, even if he faces some who are taller and heavier than him, with many center-backs, he can also win strength duels. Although I don't know why this is, we must be clear, the other party's core ability lies in this. After Kevin Reinartz finished speaking, he looked at head coach Magath and assistant coach Walls. Magath didn't speak. He tapped his left index finger on the table unconsciously, making a slight rhythmic tapping sound. Head coach Walls frowned, and after a while, he said, judging from several games in which Luo Ye did not score a goal, his defense still has to be limited to crosses from the wing. On the top, his header is a great threat. We can only find a way to reduce the number of their crosses and reduce the quality of their crosses. If the opponent is allowed to pass high-quality crosses unscrupulously, then Luo Ye can always push one or two in. The other thing is, to defend his long shot, I suggest that if Luo Ye pulls out of the penalty area, arrange a midfielder to block him. At least for now, his ability to get rid of the defense is still lacking. Magath nodded slightly when he heard this. Defensively, we can do this, but I think our energy should be focused more on the offensive end. Magath raised his head and said. Atletico Madrid almost beat them, didn't they? They conceded 3 goals in one go. There must be something wrong with their defense. In order to defeat Leverkusen, Schalke 04 can be said to have made a lot of preparations. Is there a problem with Leverkusen's defense? Hanks knows this very well, but he can't help it, because Leverkusen is not a big club like Bayern, and there is nothing they can do if their lineup is lacking. If Leverkusen's squad wasn't lacking, they wouldn't be where they are in the league now. Competing for the league championship is a matter of using strengths and avoiding weaknesses for any team. When Schalke 04 was studying how to deal with Luo Ye has arrived with the Leverkusen team in Gelsenkirchen, where Schalke 04 is located, and quickly played at the Schalke Stadium. This may be the most modern stadium in the world and can accommodate more than 60,000 people. It is a Devil's home stadium that is no less impressive than Dortmund's Westfalenstadion. It is conceivable what kind of key care Luo Ye, as Leverkusen's top scorer, will receive in this stadium. Half-distance champion. Luo Ye stepped on the turf of Schalke Stadium, looked around the stands, and sighed. Don't think about it. Even if you are a half-distance champion, you are still far away from the real championship. Augusto said at the side. I don't care about this. Luo Ye waved his hand. I want the halftime championship, and I want the Bundesliga championship too. Episode 50, be the first to feel at ease. Going to Schalke is indeed very lively. From the beginning of the game, Schalke 04 fans greeted their opponents with huge boos. You can tell from the intensity of the boos which Leverkusen player poses a greater threat to Schalke 04. The game has just started. Schalke 04's offense was very active, passing the ball continuously to the backcourt. Raul, the king of the rings, kicked a shot from the penalty area line and missed the goal slightly, kicking off the game. Then it was Leverkusen's turn to attack. Benaglio kicked the ball to centre-back Hypatia. The boos started. But the football was passed to Ballack's feet, and the boos suddenly increased. The huge boos shook everyone's eardrums. Mourinho, who was watching the game in the box, couldn't help but frown. He even wanted to put earplugs in his ears. Fortunately, as a football head coach, adapting to this kind of scene is a piece of cake. But Mourinho regretted it the next second. Because Juan has reached Luo Ye's feet. The sudden rise in boos almost shook the entire stadium. The vibration frequency of the sound even made Mourinho worried that the stadium stands would collapse as a result. But at this time Mourinho ignored the deafening boos and instead stared at Luo Ye, who got the ball at the front of the penalty area. It's not a cross, it's not like a long-range shot. Is this kid going to do it? Mourinho looked at Luo Ye's actions on the court and couldn't help but have a smile on his face. He remembered Luo Ye's goal against Atletico Madrid just a few days ago. Magath frowned. In this game, he arranged for 2 central defenders, Herweeds and Modip, who are both over 1.93 meters tall, to start together. They are also 189 centimeters tall on the wing. Their frontal air defense capabilities are not inferior to those of the central defenders. Defender's left defender, Papastathopoulos. On the right, Japanese defender Uchida Atsuhito starts. The 2 fullbacks attack and defend. In fact, Papastathopoulos will not participate in more attacks at all, but will form a 3 centre-back position with Huids and Modip. 3 defenders with excellent header ability took care of Luo Ye alone, plus blocking the wing. Magath felt that everything was safe. But Luo Ye pulled out of the penalty area, moved around the arc of the penalty area, and still took the ball with his back. Magath didn't think it was strange at first, but the ball came to Luo Ye's feet several times, always in the arc of the penalty area with his back to the goal. Can you still shoot from a long distance while holding the ball behind your back? By the way, this must be the conspiracy of that guy Hanks. He wants to use Luo Ye to attract Huids and Modip out of the penalty area, and then create space for Ballack, Augusto, Kiesling, and others. This bad old man is so cunning. Magath turned to look at Hanks, who was not far away. Hanks is not as cunning as Magath thinks. He was also wondering. Why did Luo Ye pull him out? If you want to take a long shot, don't hold the ball with your back, right? Right now. He saw Luo Ye stepping on the ball, then squeezed in, entered the penalty area, turned around and volleyed. The football went over the crossbar. Then he suddenly slapped his forehead. This be ********************. D. This is using Schalke 04 as a test subject. He scored such a goal against Atletico Madrid in the last game. He immediately learned and applied it in this game. I also want to copy a goal like that. But the problem is, this game is such a crucial battle for the top spot. When everyone is nervous. Your boy actually used it for experiments? He has a really big heart. Is it because he doesn't take the championship seriously, or he doesn't take his opponents seriously? Do you still want to praise this guy for having a big heart? Think of this. Hanks decided to put an end to this unhealthy trend. Want to experiment with new tricks of your own? Sure. Let's get ahead first. Take advantage of a dead ball. He pulled Barnetta, who was closest to him, over. Tell Luo. If he keeps playing like this, I will replace him immediately. Barnetta left as ordered and quickly found Luo Ye to convey the head coach's latest instructions. I know. Luo Ye muttered. He really felt that the trick he used against Atletico Madrid was very effective, but he did not have the opportunity to be specially trained during training, and there was no skill training scene similar to post-up singles in the virtual training ground. So he decided to use it more in the game to get a feel for it. But now the head coach thinks he should score first. Then we can only score goals first. He didn't want to be substituted in less than 10 minutes. Otherwise, this would be too embarrassing. Hanks stood on the sidelines. He knew that Luo Ye was not a good boy sometimes. This guy can be quite a headache sometimes. But after seeing the team quickly pass the ball to the wing for a cross, he breathed a sigh of relief. The two tall central defenders Matip and Huids would have been quite relaxed. Matip, who has dual nationality of Cameroon and China, is 195 centimeters tall and weighs 93 kilograms, was looking forward to the aerial duel with Luo Ye. As a tall central defender, he is very confident in his frontal air defense ability. As a result, Luo Ye actually avoided him after the start of the game, which was really disappointing to Lau Ma. When Luo Ye entered the penalty area and pointed his finger to the sky, Leverkusen's cross came. Matip felt excited. Let me meet you for a while. Guys from the Dragon Kingdom. Defeat Luo Ye in the air and freeze Luo Ye. Matip will be on the front page of the newspapers tomorrow. He was sure of it. But the football came flying out of the air. Matip suppressed his excited heart and trembling hands, and stepped forward to meet him. Luo Ye stared at the incoming ball. After judging the landing point, he turned to look at the goal. He almost had a heart attack when he turned his head. In his field of vision, Matip with a shiny bald head had already rushed in front of him. Despite this, Luo Ye still jumped up instinctively and stood up from the ground. Boom! The two of them bumped into each other. Matip thought this would be a lose-lose situation, but he didn't expect that when the two took off and collided, he was the one who flew out. He was almost knocked out by Luo Ye in the air and flew sideways. When he fell on his back to the ground, the lights of Schalke Stadium caused a burst of white mist to appear in his eyes. He closed his eyes and opened them again. I saw a tall figure hanging in the air. He seemed to have stopped in the air, and the flying football just landed on the lower edge of his forehead. Then, he saw the tall figure's body begin to twist and move his head to complete a head shake. Boom! The contact between the football and his forehead caused sweat to hang on his hair, forming a rain of sweat that spattered around. And football. At this moment, he flew towards the Schalke 04 goal. The goalkeeper seemed to be under a holding spell at this moment. Boom! Matip lands. Brush. The football also hit the net.